Hi, my name is Nancy Birtwhistle and I am thrilled to be talking to you today and introducing my latest book, The Green and Easy Kitchen. I'm so excited. I'm going to be cooking a couple of recipes from it. The first one, which excites me a lot, because if you're worried about ultra-processed foods in your diet, take a look at the stock cubes that you have in your pantry. I had a look at mine to find that between 25 and 40% in each stock cube could be salt. So I'm going to show you how to make your own instant veggie stock cube. The second recipe I'm going to be making is what I've called my universal cottage pie, because we can use leftover cooked meat, we can make it vegetarian, we can make it vegan, we can make it gluten-free, we can make it dairy-free. The one I'm going to do today is vegetarian. Right, let's get on. Okay, so I'm starting with my instant veggie stock cubes. Now, these are fantastic, but if you're thinking, I haven't got time to be making stock cubes, you can actually blitz all your vegetables in your food processor if you've got one. I've chopped them by hand because I realise not everybody has a food processor. And what we have going on here is we've got onion, we've got leek, we've got carrot, we've got potato, we've got celery, we've got garlic. And I've got some extra flavours here in herbs and spices. So I've got dried mixed herbs, I've got pepper, I've got ground cumin, and I've got turmeric there. But I'm also throwing in a few fresh herbs as well. They're dried bay leaves from outside, but these are just bits I've taken from the garden. I've got corn flour as a thickener. Now, salt. In a perfect world, we make our fresh stock and it's always available. But if, like me, you think, I have no fresh stock, I want something quick, I want something instant, and you reach for a stock cube. The trouble is, when you look at the packet, well, the ones I had, each stock cube could be as much as 25 to 40% salt. And if you're somebody that wants to reduce your salt intake or needs to be eating a salt-free diet altogether, this is where you can control the salt. My stock cubes are 5% salt, and believe me, they still taste salty. So, or you can leave it out. You can adjust the salt to whatever you want. Right, let me get chopping. Your carrot particularly needs to be chopped fairly small, because if not, it takes longer to cook. So the smaller your carrot, the quicker this will cook. Celery, again, doesn't take much cooking, but I'm still chopping everything small to get maximum flavour. Now I'm adding garlic. I forgot to mention garlic, I think. Now, if you grow your own garlic, or if you find a bargain and you can buy garlic cheaply from the supermarket, if you keep it in your vegetable rack for some time, it'll start to sprout. It's perfectly edible, but the flavour can change. It can turn a bit bitter. So I have homegrown garlic, but I also, if I see a bargain, I'll buy it and then keep it in the freezer. I need 3 cloves for that. That's only a little one. I'll give it an extra one. And the beauty about freezing in glass, it doesn't absorb any of those garlicky flavours. Once you wash it out, absolutely fine to use for something else afterwards. So I'll chop my garlic as well. It's frozen, but it's still easy to chop up. And then I've got a potato here, just a small potato. That's going in just to help thicken our stock cubes. So it's the chopping that takes the time. The rest of it is super simple. I'm just in my pan with a large pan, because then you've got more surface area. Large pan, and then I'm going in with all of these chopped vegetables. So I've got onion, I've got leek, The downside of chopping everything in your food processor, I've found, is you get fibrous bits from your leeks, which you don't get if you hand chop. 2 carrots, and then I've got celery, potato and garlic. Gorgeous. I'm going in with 25 grams of salt, which is about 1 gram per stock cube. And then here are my extra flavours. So I've got pepper, dried herbs, ground cumin, turmeric. I've got a couple of dried bay leaves, fresh ones if you've got them. And then fresh herbs here. Well, actually the sage doesn't look that fresh, it looks a bit forlorn, but I did only pick it yesterday. Give that a chop, just roughly, because it's all going to be blitzed later on anyway. So throw those in. And I forgot my parsley, here we are. Now if you buy bags of supermarket herbs, get them home, and when you look on the plastic packet, it will say wash before use, and certainly don't leave it in that plastic packet because the shelf life will be vastly reduced. You know, it'll go all sort of black and slimy in the corner. This parsley I've had in this jar well over a week. Brought it home, took it out of the plastic bag, gave it a good wash, and then just a piece of kitchen paper in the bottom to absorb any moisture, and this parsley is beautiful. Absolutely fine. So I'm going to add some parsley in there, including the stalks. Lots of flavour in the stalks. And then I think that's everything I need. So that can now go onto the heat. Now I'm going to keep stirring to begin with. I've put this on full heat because obviously there's no water in here. The only moisture I'm getting is from those vegetables. So I'm coating everything in the oil. And what I want them to do is start to fry a little bit. Now if you're thinking, if you put a dry pan on a high heat, is it going to burn? Well, I'm keeping it moving, and I actually want a little bit of caramelisation on the bottom of this pan, because that will do 2 things. It'll give me some extra flavour, but it'll also give me a darker coloured stock cube. So if I'm going to be making my cottage pie, so I want a fairly dark, wholesome filling, even though everything is vegetarian. So can you see I've got the bottom of that pan going a bit brown. My vegetables are starting to tinge on the corners. And then what I'm going to do now is turn the heat down to quite low and put a lid on. Because then these vegetables will sweat, create some moisture and cook through. Now these vegetables have had 20-25 minutes on a low heat. I'll just give them a stir. They're looking all right. Just check that they're cooked through. Check a piece of carrot, that's a good test. Yeah, that looks all right. And a piece of potato, they're all right. I'm going to remove the bay leaves because they don't blitz up very well. And then I'm going to add in corn flour. You can use ordinary flour, but I'm thinking, you know, corn flour will then show that we can use them in our gluten-free cooking. Just give that a stir round. Just helps to thicken things up a bit. And then I'm going to blitz these vegetables to a paste. Now, you can blitz in your pan if you want to, but I don't want to damage my pans. I'm steadily replacing any non-stick cookware with stainless steel. So I want them to last. I want them to last me out. So I'm going to pop this lot into a jug. I think a jug or a deep bowl works quite well for blitzing. And then with a hand blender or a liquidizer, if you want to use your liquidizer, I'm going to start blitzing these vegetables. And if you taste this mixture, I've gone 5% salt on my stock cubes. I'll be making about 25 stock cubes, but it does taste quite salty. So if you want to reduce your salt even further. They smell nice though. If you're thinking to yourself, it seems an awful lot of faff for a stock cube, I tend to do this. You know, if you're waiting for something else or the oven's on for something else, pop the vegetables into a low oven, pop them into a slow cooker, pop them into the bottom of the argy. You know, you don't have to stand over them like I've just done. You'll not overcook your veg, provided it's in a low oven. So what I've got now is a thick, vegetable paste, like that. And then all I'm going to do with this is spoon it. You can pipe it if you want to. This is quite a big ice cube tray, which is perfect because each ice cube compartment holds about 20 grams, 20 to 25 grams, which is the perfect size for a stock cube. If yours is smaller, then all you'll do is use 2 per 500 mils of hot water, boiling water. So we've got a very intensely flavoured puree here. Now I've got enough there for a second tray, but what I'll do is I'll pop these in the freezer. And once they're frozen, I can take them out, put them in a box and freeze the other lot. Nothing's going to spoil with those. Freezer. So here we are, frozen stock cubes in my ice cube tray, each one about 25 grams. And what I'm going to show you now is how to instantly give yourself 500 mils of hot, wholesome vegetable stock with only the goodness in it. You see, these pop out quite easily. Into a jug, I'm going to add in 500 mils of boiling water, as you would with any stock cube, but we know what's in this one. And then just give that a stir, let it dissolve. In the meantime, I'm going to put the rest of these into a box so that I can store them in the freezer. Oop. And so whenever I need a stock cube, just pop to the freezer. So soups, stews, casseroles. With mine today, I'm going to be making my universal cottage pie. So I've got stock cubes in my freezer box. I've got enough mixture here to make another tray full. And I've got my 500 mils of gorgeous vegetable stock. I know exactly what's gone into it The cost here, minimal. They're all ingredients that you've got in your pantry. All you need is a little bit of time, but we know what's going into our food.